Many of our clients stretch in such a way that actually makes their muscles tighter. And the worst part is, most of them are stretching in a way that they were probably taught when they started exercising. In today's video, the second in the stretching series, I'm going to tell you the 5 steps to stretching perfection, which may surprise you because a lot of these steps go against how most people will tell you to stretch. But this is the most effective way that I have found with stretching when I've worked with clients over the last 10 plus years, and we always get excellent results with this method. So if you'd like to check your stretching knowledge, and if you know if you're stretching correctly, this video is for you. Welcome, I'm Catherine, if we haven't met, and this is the YouTube channel for LSM Clinic. In this channel, I help people take better care of their body and learn about how their body works so that you can live and enjoy your favorite activities as close to pain-free as possible. Now, stretching. Stretching can be a controversial topic. If you look up, is stretching good for me? You will find loads of articles that say that stretching can be detrimental, that it can injure your muscles, that you shouldn't stretch, that you don't need to stretch. And the truth is, stretching can be detrimental. It definitely can cause problems if you're stretching incorrectly. And unfortunately, most people stretch incorrectly. Now, this is the second part in a series. The first part is why and when to stretch. And the third part is common stretching mistakes that you don't want to make. And they'll both be linked in the description below. So this approach to stretching is one that I've developed working with my clients over the last 10 plus years. And it really works, even though some of it might sound a little bit crazy. So the quick summary is, start with your muscle in a slightly lengthened position. Gently lean into the stretch until it's a 3 or a 4, or maybe even you don't feel it at all. Stop when you feel the first sign of resistance or stretch. So don't go as far as you possibly can. Count to 10 and only deepen the stretch if that stretch releases after 10 seconds. And if you haven't felt a decrease after 10 seconds, you need to come out of the stretch or reduce the stretch that you're feeling. So let's go into detail with these and why each step is important. So first of all, you want to start with your muscle in a slightly lengthened position. This means that you basically need to know more or less where your muscle starts and finishes. One of the biggest mistakes I see people make is they're stretching a muscle, but they've actually put the muscle in a shortened position. So let me give you an example of that. Chest stretch. A lot of people will do a stretch where they put their hands behind their back and then lift their shoulders up, or they'll do one against the wall where they've got their arm turned in. Now, the problem with that is that the pec muscle, the chest muscle that they're trying to stretch, attaches from here to here. So if you're turning your shoulder in, you're shortening the muscle before you stretch it. You will stretch some of the fibers because of the way the chest is made up, but you're not stretching most of them. And actually, it's bad because it shortens another muscle that you should be stretching when you stretch your chest. So you need to open it and then do the stretch. Similar thing with quads. I see people a lot of times they're stretching their thigh and their knee is really forward. The hip shouldn't be bent when you're doing a quad stretch because you're not going to stretch the full body of the muscle. But you can't stretch the full body of the muscle if you don't know where it attaches. A quick Google search will show you the start and end point of any muscle that you're trying to stretch, or if you come see us at the clinic or you see a massage therapist or physio or osteo where you are, they can give you some advice as to where the muscle stretches. So once you've started with the muscle in a slightly lengthened position, you want to gently and slowly lean into it until you feel a stretch or a resistance feeling. The gentler the stretch, the more effective it is at touching the tightest part of the muscle. What I've observed is when people really go in hard to a stretch, the muscle contracts against the stretch and doesn't let go. There's something in the body which is called the stretch reflex. And whenever you first go into a stretch, the muscles contract to protect themselves. As you hold the stretch, the Golgi tendon organs override the stretch reflex and allow the tissue to release, right? But if you're stretching really hard, if you're pushing as far as you can go, the muscles don't feel safe to relax. So you're lucky if you end up getting a release at all, but likely that kind of shaky, tense feeling is actually the muscle tensing up and waiting for you to stop stretching. Now, if you've stretched like that for a long time, where you're really pushing into the very end of your range, you may not be able to feel any stretch when you start stretching this way, because your body is so conditioned that you're going to push into it as hard as you can. It's just waiting for that to happen. So sometimes you might have to go through retraining. One of the stories I tell a lot is I had 3 clients with hamstring problems, and they definitely were overstretching their hamstrings. You know, they were very flexible. They all could get their leg to their face when they were stretching their hamstring. But when I put their hamstring, their thigh, their leg at 90 degrees, their hamstrings were so taut. They were like guitar strings. And so I had them stop where the muscle was stretching, even though they couldn't feel a stretch. After about a week or 2, depending on which client we're talking about, they started to feel a stretch in their hamstring at that 90-degree point, because it took that long for the body to relearn that it wasn't going to be stretched way past where it was comfortable, right? The point of stretching is not to force your flexibility. The reason that you stretch is you want to help the brain release the tension in the muscle. And if the muscle doesn't feel safe, it's not going to release, or it's not going to release effectively. So that's why when you lean into the stretch, you find, where is it just a little bit harder? Or where do I have to push a little bit more? Or where is the very first sign of a stretch? And then you stop there. Another way that you can tell if your muscle is stretching is you can put your hand on it. So for example, in the chest stretch example, I'll often have people put their hand on the chest. So when they start like this and then they walk their hand up, the first place they feel that muscle push up into their hand, that's the stretch. And then they just stay there and release and let go. And then the muscle becomes softer. It's not pushing anymore. It's not pushing into the fingers. And then you go a little bit further and there it is again. So almost all of your muscles you can feel with your hands. You can put your hand on your hamstring. You can put your hand on your quad. You can put your hand on your hip flexor, kind of, your back, the side of the body, the neck. So if you think you've been overstretching and you're not sure that you can trust if you're going to feel the stretch when the muscle's stretching, put your hand on the muscle and feel it. Number 3 is to stop when you first feel the stretch or the resistance. Like a 3 or 4 out of 10, super gentle, not intense at all. Why? Why do I say this? Because a lot of people think the point of stretching is to go as far as they possibly can into the stretch. If they physically can go further, they should. That's not true. The very first point where you feel a resistance or stretch is where you need to stop. That's where the tightest muscle is. That's what you need to release, not the most flexible part of your muscle. Number 4, count to 10, which is usually about 2 or 3 nice slow breaths. And each time you exhale, let go of the muscle. This is the 10-second test. If your muscle doesn't release, feel softer, or the stretch reduce within 10 seconds, it's too hard. You might feel that the stretch actually gets more intense while you're holding it for those 10 seconds. That often means that you found a good spot and your muscle's starting to release. And actually, because it's not fighting you anymore, it's feeling more of a stretch. In that case, you want to come out a little bit. Or if you feel that it's not releasing at all, you want to come out a little bit. It should start to release in 10 seconds if you found the right point for stretching. If it doesn't release within those 10 seconds, you've gone too far in. Number 5, and that's number 5. If you haven't felt a decrease in 10 seconds, you need to come out and start again. Now, this can be really tricky if you're used to pushing yourself as far as you possibly can go in a stretch. You've taught your body that you're not going to listen to it and you're going to really push in. And so your body is trained to try and protect the muscles when you go into that position. So obviously stretching in this way is not going to help you because it's not going to make your muscles looser. And it's going to teach your body that it has to protect itself a lot when you're moving because you're not respecting its natural range of movement. But over time, if you use these 5 steps, you will be able to get more of a stretch and more of a relaxation and more benefit. And the added benefit is with this, you can get a huge improvement in 30 seconds. You go in 10 seconds, count to 10. If it releases, you go in a little bit more and you find that next point. Now, we are here to help you. I don't want you to stretch in a way that's detrimental to you. So you can join either of our Facebook groups, the Runner, Cyclist, and Try Facebook group or the Pain-Free Desk Working group. As of the time of this recording, we're actually doing a challenge next week, which will include some support around stretching safely. We're doing 5 minutes, 5 days challenge, where every day I teach you a 5-minute tip that you can do the next day to make yourself feel better at your desk. So I'm including the link to that below so you can join in with it if you'd like. If it's past the 21st of November, we're doing it the 21st to the 26th of November. If it's past that day, you can still join the group and get help, or you can download our free workshop, which walks you through the chest stretch that I've talked about and give you some tips about desk posture. Now, I strongly recommend that you watch the next video in the series, which is top stretching mistakes that people make. The stretching mistakes that most people make actually will make your muscles tighter and may contribute to injury. One of the top mistakes that I talk about in the next video in this series is that you need to stretch the right muscle. So a lot of people have tension in one muscle, so they stretch that muscle, but that muscle is actually compensating for another problem. So if you don't address the other problem and you just stretch the tight muscle, over time, that's going to make the imbalance worse and could make you more likely to get injured. So please do, if you have a few minutes, go over and watch the next video in the series. And if you have any questions about this video, please feel free to let me know in the comments. If you liked this, if you know anyone who might want to watch this, please share it, like the video, and subscribe to our channel so you can know as we release more videos. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.